Okay, good morning, everybody. Uh, Welcome, Jerry, Pritam, Jasper, Zuyan, Dana. I think Dana is a new addition to our group.
Yes. A quick introduction for Dana, and then she can also introduce herself. But Dana's been involved with Mantra House for quite some time. She's jumped a level into level 2, but then I think she was talking with my mom, and we discussed how it would be a good idea to also join this one. So she'll be joining us for the next couple of weeks.
Hey, Dana, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Would you like to speak something about yourself so that we know you?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been with Mantra House for a little while and really enjoyed the events and lectures and kirtan and all the things. I don't know what to say.
That's okay. Thank you.
Otherwise, yeah, no
We'll get to
problem.
know you as we go along. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so we'll jump right into our next part, which is the video for today's session. So today we have moods and modes. So this is the fifth session of the series, and we started off, with few sessions before this, and the last session was about the mind, whether your mind is a friend or a foe. So does anybody remember from last session any takeaways or anything that stood out for you?
I remember quite a few of us were agreeing that it was much of the time it was your friend, but also it depends on what situation you're in and what your state of mind is, and it can be a foe as well.
Mhm.
And I remember your monkey story.
Thank you, Jasper. I also remember your king story.
Jasper's prisoner story stuck with me a lot about the prisoners who chose the noose versus the door, and the door was freedom. So I'm trying to apply that to my life more.
I appreciate that, Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else before we jump into our next video for today? All right. So I'll just share my screen and then we can see this. So today's session is moods and modes. So MOODS, which is the moods that we have: good mood, bad mood, and modes. So how our modes are there, modes in terms of goodness, passion, ignorance. So we'll see that. So I'll start sharing.
Moods and modes. Why are some people by nature outgoing and talkative, while others are quiet and shy? Why are some people attracted to hot, spicy food, and others to sweet and juicy foods? Why do some people enjoy classical music, while others enjoy passionate rock music, and yet others enjoy both? What are the forces of nature that compel people to act the way they do? How do these forces work, and who is controlling them? We generally think that we're in control of our actions and that we're making our own decisions. However, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, all men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. All living beings are tied by ropes of illusion called the modes of material nature, and the material nature is compared to a prison house. One may be bound with gold chain, sattvaguna, goodness, another by silver chain, rajoguna, passion, and the third by iron chain, tamaguna, ignorance. Guna means rope or chain. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help another bound, the rescuer must be liberated. The living entity, being conditioned, acts according to the mode of its nature it comes in contact with. According to the level of our conditioning, we seek happiness on the material platform. As a simple example, consider the three primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. By combining these three colors, one can produce the entire color spectrum and paint pictures which can arouse any emotion. Pots and pans do not usually inspire emotion, but, manipulated by an artist, paint appears to possess its own special potency to enchant the hearts. Similarly, the supreme artist has expertly designed the material world using unlimited color combinations of the modes of nature to attract us to a perverted reflection of the spiritual reality and to keep us enticed with its false charm. Examples of three modes. Meet Dr. and Mrs. Bright with their two children who live in a small home just suitable to their needs in a peaceful country town. Dr. Bright is the local MD, a thoughtful, qualified man, respected for doing his job honestly and selflessly. His hobby is reading books of philosophy, poetry, and science. Mrs. Bright and the children farm and garden around the house and care for the family cow. The Brights are mildly prosperous people who give thanks to Supreme for the things that they have and take their spirituality as serious duty. By almost anyone's standards, they'd have to be considered exceptionally pious. They don't gamble, and for them intoxicants are strictly taboo. They don't smoke, and not to speak of liquor, they don't even drink coffee or tea. Dr. Bright has seen too many of his patients bring trouble to themselves through extramarital affairs, so he's always been faithful to his wife, and she too has always been faithful to him. The Brights decided long ago that killing animals is barbaric, so they never eat meat, fish, chicken, or even eggs. All in all, the Brights lead a clean, simple, and happy life. But the Brights are conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. They are attached to their harmonious world. Therefore, they are bound to the mode of goodness. The Smiths, by contrast, live in suburbia in a stylish home filled with modern conveniences. Each morning, Larry Smith gulps down breakfast in time to fight traffic to the office. There he sits all day dealing with different headaches, as he calls them. A hard job, but worth it, he figures, since it lets him afford the luxuries he enjoys and still have some money left over for the stock market and some rather shady business schemes he has going on the side. Money is the honey, Larry says. Gloria, his wife, wakes up in time to see that the two older children look decent and sends them off to school. She spends most of her day with the baby, the one we didn't expect, says Gloria. Either Gloria is in the house with the TV going, in the background with the other housewives and children, in the beauty salon, or shopping. On the weekends, the Smiths try to be spiritualists, but it's more or less a social affair, since in fact they generally disregard the guidelines of their scriptures. The family is typical of the mode of passion. Now, let's meet John Dole and Betty Grumble. They never got married, but they live together in a rundown apartment in New York City. Welfare checks cover part of the rent, and at the end of the month, John gets together the rest by peddling drugs. Spirituality, they both decided long ago, is something they want no part of. They spend their time sleeping, at least 10 or 12 hours a day, or else getting high on drugs, feasting on beer, and languishing in their apartment. For years, they've dreamed about starting a commune in Spain, or perhaps Madagascar, or Nepal. Dole and Grumble have surrounded their lives with the mode of ignorance. Similarly, we can compare the qualities of different animals according to the modes of nature. The elephant represents mode of goodness. It eats only fresh vegetarian food, grass. It is a large, strong, and gentle animal. It has the intelligence to work well with humans. The tiger represents the mode of passion. It is fierce, restless, and aggressive by nature and kills and eats flesh of other animals. The jackal represents the mode of ignorance. Rather than seek its own food, it eats whatever is left over after another animal has eaten. It tends to be fearful and lazy. Being a nocturnal animal, it shuns daylight. Beyond the three modes, real happiness that can completely satisfy the self is experienced from the spiritual platform, beyond the three modes of nature. Hence, of the three modes, it is recommended to always be in the mode of goodness, as it provides a runway for the airplane of human body to transcend beyond the influence of material modes of nature. Freedom from these modes can only come by the grace of one who is already free, Krishna says in the Gita. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Such a person is on the platform called Vasudeva, or Shuddha Sattva, or pure goodness, beyond material nature, one with Krishna, not in personality, but in interest, in service and love, in this world, but not of it. Such a person is completely satisfied in the self, being situated in the original constitutional position of the spirit. One need not wait till one's death to become liberated, but can be liberated from the influence of the modes of nature even while living in the present material body. Thus, we can attain spiritual perfection simply by remembering our relationship with Supreme, or Supreme and acting in that relationship. We need not be disturbed by the modes of nature, since instead of putting our consciousness into material activities, we can transfer it into activities centered around Supreme, or Krishna. Such Supreme or Krishna-centered activities make up Bhakti Yoga. When we engage in the Bhakti Yoga system, we acquire the same spiritual qualities as Supreme or Krishna. We can become free from the material concept of life simply by performing Bhakti Yoga in the association of those who are aspiring to or have already transcended the modes. The most important process of Bhakti Yoga is to chant and meditate on the transcendental sound vibrations.
All right, so that was a wonderful video. We learned about the different modes and moods. So this is just an icebreaker now. We'll discuss about the video after this icebreaker. So the icebreaker is, if you could spend a week with any person now living in the world, who would you choose and why? So I'll also post it on the chat. Stop sharing here. Would anybody like to take a try on this one?
I would go, I suppose.
Yes, please go.
Uh, I don't have a name in mind, but I would want to. So I'll do my homework before I actually execute this, like living with a person for 1 week. So I'll find the most knowledgeable person, I suppose, who has figured it all out, and figured it all out in a way that they can give me answers to what I do not know, and spend a week with them. I do not know who this person is, so I'll have to find out first.
Thanks for sharing that, Preetham.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I don't have a particular person in mind, but I think I would like to go spend a week with a monk. and just see what their daily life is like. Let them share all of the things they have learned in their lifestyle.
Yeah, that would be interesting, spending time with monks, what time they get up, what time they sleep, what they do during the day, what they eat, right? That's a nice thought. Thank you for sharing, Jerry.
I was thinking of the same. Yeah, I was thinking of spending a week with a monk, in their temple and learning their wisdom, compassion, just their lifestyle.
Now that you're speaking, the powers will help you achieve your goal somehow or the other.
If I could spend a week with any person, I met a very elderly man in a kind of a field trip of sorts in my clinical psychology class last year, and we were basically kind of practicing a therapy session, or just practicing some of the skills that we've learned in the class, and we actually have become friends. And just from the few times that we've met and hung out, he's probably close to 90, and
Wow.
so he gives me, with every kind of phrase, he just speaks differently, and he has a different point of view of a lot of things that I never would have thought of. So I would spend a week with him.
Nice. Is he in Seattle?
He's in Tacoma. I think he's at the one of the elderly homes near Point Ruston.
Nice. That's pretty close. Thank you, Jasper, for sharing that.
Yeah, I was having a hard time thinking of someone specific or someone that's alive. But yeah, I would like to spend time with someone on like a spiritual path or a mystic or a guru of some sort, or even a musician. Like I get a lot of inspiration from musicians and artists, and yeah, just seeing like an alternative way of life would be really nice.
Thank you, Dana.
For myself, I think this one is a hard one because I always change my answer, but I guess this time around, there's an author named Jay Shetty, and I guess kind of harping on the same as many of you, he was a former monk and now he writes books, does podcasts, and he like shares essentially what he learned in that time of being a monk to help other people connect and find ways to lead more meaningful lives. So maybe with him and his wife.
Yeah, Jay Shetty, I met him in Los Angeles. He's, pretty influential, and he's very knowledgeable. Do any of you know Jay Shetty? No? Okay. Yeah, you can Google him, Okay.
A couple nods.
Yeah, and Jerry said she lives near Tacoma, lives in Tacoma near Ruston. Okay.
Yeah, Jasper said his friend is in Ruston, and I was like, oh yeah, that's where I'm in Tacoma. That's why it's so hard for me to make it to Caraton, because
I know.
it's
Yeah.
like an hour each way. But I'm over here, guys.
But if somebody comes from that area, maybe you can carpool. Ian, do you know somebody who comes from Tacoma? Oh, Zuyan?
Yeah, I live in Des Moines, so you can always, come to my house, park your car,
Oh,
we can go together.
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so Jerry, I actually live in Gig Harbor, so I could pick you up on the way to Zoe's house, and then we could all carpool to Kirtan if you want.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's do it. I'm actually leaving for Thailand. So this will be my last session.
Wow,
I'll have to do the next series, but when I get back, let's totally do that. That'll be fun.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, cool.
good.
So you are visiting Thailand just for vacation or any other?
Yeah, originally it's for yoga retreat, and then I tacked on some extra time to go see the temples and do some shopping like at the floating markets and eat a lot of food.
Nice. That would be exciting.
Yeah, so I leave on Friday and I'll be back for like St. Patty's Day.
Mm,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. We would like to hear from you your experiences once you return back.
Yeah, the women's group has been asking for photos, so I'll definitely share some photos with you guys too.
Nice. Yeah, I've never been to Thailand.
Me neither.
Okay, nice. Um, yeah, for
Gaurav,
me,
what would be your person that you would spend a week with?
yeah, I think for me, I would like to spend time with my teacher. You know, his name is Radhanath Swami. He's the author of New York Times bestseller book, The Journey Home, if you have heard of it. You know, how he hitchhiked all the way from London to the Himalayan mountains and lived there with mystic yogis and different experiences.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, you can do a Google search, you can find the book, The Journey Home. Yeah. So, so yeah, I would like to spend time with him. He's obviously a monk, like all of you have that desire to spend time with monks. So I consider him the best of monks. So-
I'm actually reading his book right now, The Journey Within.
oh, you are? Okay.
Yes, great book. So
Amazing.
far. Yes, very. He has a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge.
Yes, yes. Yes, he can evaluate any situation and connect it to spirituality and learn from it. Nice. Okay, so nice. I believe everybody shared. Now we can move to the video discussion. Um, so the next question is about the discovery part. So I'll just post the question here. So the question is, describe the three modes of material nature. Explain the platform of Shuddha Sattva or pure goodness. But before we jump into that, Zuyan, would you like to share something which you are reading in the journey within and you liked?
Um, oh, there's a lot in that book, but just one of the story that came to mind was he talked about a trip that his parents visit him in India, and they were on their way, and then there's this monkey that came out and try to grab his mom's purse, and they were fighting back and forth, and finally the monkey, got a hold of his mom's purse, and his mom was she was upset because all her passports, money, credit cards was in the purse, and he didn't know what to do. And finally he saw there was a cart that this guy, he has fruits on his cart, and he came and he asked for a banana, but he had no money. So he just grabbed the banana and he threw it up to a monkey, and the monkey saw the banana and dropped his mom's purse.
Yes. Yes, yes. I remember that story. Yeah. His parents visited all the way from Chicago. So he's from Chicago, you know. His
Mhm.
name is Richard Slavin. And and this is the incident that he narrates in the book. Yeah. Very interesting. And then he discusses different lessons from that story, right? How we can apply in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was telling last week also, he actually built that community, the eco-friendly, self-sustainable community in Mumbai, the eco village.
Yeah, I remember that part. Yes.
Yeah.
There's also like an orphanage,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hospital is also there. Orphanage is there, and then children's school and Food for Life. They serve food for billions of um, children going to the school, underprivileged children. Okay. So let's jump into this question. Thank you for sharing, Zuyan, that story. Describe the three modes of material nature. Explain the platform of Shuddha Sattva or pure goodness. So this is based off the video we just saw, the 8-minute video.
So I can go for the first one, describe the three modes.
Yeah.
That one is Shuddha Sattva or goodness, mode of goodness, then mode of passion, and mode of ignorance.
Okay.
These three are the material modes of material nature. And then platform of Shuddha Sattva, I suppose it's yeah, I don't have a good explanation for it. I don't know. Anyone else could jump in. That'd be great.
Or maybe somebody can also describe about three modes. Like, what's the difference between these three modes? Like, how goodness is conditioned by happiness and knowledge, then what about passion and ignorance?
I remember passion being described as living, if you apply it to a life, it's a life of indulgence and self. I guess indulgence is the best way I could describe it. You enjoy more material things and you're less connected with the supreme. And yeah, maybe somebody else could get the other one.
Yeah, yes, but that's good. You mentioned about passion being like indulgence, a lot of desires or longings, lot of attachments, hankering. So yes, so somebody else can take on ignorance. What do you understand by ignorance?
What's coming to mind is just daydreaming. That would be ignorance. That I
Yeah.
have brilliant ideas, but I don't know how I'm going to do any of that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Like indolence or a lot of sleep, like you said, daydreaming, even a lot of night and day night. It's good to sleep in the night, but like you said, you dream in the day when you're also sleeping. A lot of sleep is also in the mode of ignorance, and I believe that's the right understanding. Okay, so what do you understand by pure goodness? So this is something above goodness. So you have goodness, passion, ignorance, and pure goodness is something one level above goodness. So I'm just giving you a hint. If you can think about it, maybe just in one word or one sentence, if you would like to explain.
Maybe giving back to the community.
Exactly, yeah, being selfless, working for the welfare of others, right? Yeah, perfect. Okay, nice.
I have a question, Gaurav. What's the mode of goodness again?
Mode of goodness is mostly when you are conditioned by a sense of happiness and you have that knowledge. So are you asking difference between goodness and pure goodness?
No, just like we talked about ignorance and passion, but I didn't quite get the mode of goodness. Like, is that when a person is still um, bound by the material nature, but is in a mode of goodness somehow? I'm not quite getting.
Yeah,
Like,
in goodness, one is not bound. Mostly in passion, one is bound by a lot of attachments, activities, huge endeavor, which is draining their body and the mind, and they do not have any time for acquiring spiritual knowledge, or they do not have time for doing things that they like to do and being happy. So,
mm,
okay, so next question is, um, a cab seller a cab seller tired of long distance walk kept his basket aside and slept off under the shade of a tree that was full with a group of mischievous monkeys. After a while, he got up from his sleep and found his basket was totally empty. The monkeys had each picked up a cap and wearing it on their heads, had soon climbed up the tree. Discuss and compare the reactions to this situation by a person in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
What is a cap seller?
He's just a person who sells the cap, like you put it on your head, right?
Oh,
So
I see.
it's just a scenario-based discussion, You can think of anything. I mean, if you are a fruit seller and somebody took your fruits,
Yeah,
so or just like you read that story in the journey within, right? So
yeah.
he took away the credit cards. So I mean, how would you react to that, right? You're visiting from the US and a monkey took away your passports or your American Express credit cards and started chewing upon them. So how would you react, or how would a person in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance react?
I feel like the person with the mode of ignorance would be inclined to react with that he had been done an injustice and that there was imbalance and that he or she was in had been wronged, and um, there's ignorance as in he or she is ignoring something that is I don't know. There's something along the lines of ignoring a bigger picture of what the monkeys had been trying to do.
Okay, that's a good perspective.
I guess maybe goodness could be he could look at it as they're advertising for him. Like the monkeys are wearing my caps and other people will see it and think they're cool. So, it will help my business. Passion would be maybe looking at it as, well, the monkeys need these for some reason. They need them. And then ignorance would be getting angry at the monkeys for taking all his caps. I don't know.
How would you react, Jerry, to that?
I would probably feel like when Jasper was saying for ignorance, like being wronged, I was like, oh man, I've got some serious problems because I would feel like I was wronged. Because I was just thinking of I was just defrauded by a doctor recently and
Oh,
I really needed the treatment, but she took advantage of me. So, and then now I'm thinking well, maybe I wasn't defrauded. Like maybe she did have good intentions, but I think she did. I think she totally took advantage of me. But yeah.
nice.
Yeah, in those situations, it's hard to come at it with a perspective of goodness because you obviously feel like you've been manipulated, or that there's some kind of imbalance, and there's something just not right about it. And so to have a reaction, to look at it in a good light is pretty tough. I can understand that.
Correct. Anyone else would like to share?
I think it would take a lot of compassion
Mhm.
to try to think it through instead of, being upset with the monkeys. Try to find I don't know, a good outlook out of the situation.
Mhm.
Yeah, Zine reminded me of something that yesterday I might be pertinent into this. I'm a commuter for college, and so I have to drive about 20-25 minutes to college, and I had forgotten something at my house that I needed later that day. So I was quite annoyed that I had to spend the time and money or the time and gas to go back to my house that day. But I was trying to look at, what good could come of this. I was like, well, I can listen to music in the car because it's something I really like to do, and I like driving. And I can say hi to my dog when I get back home. So um, it's still being productive, just in a different kind of way. And that's the way I decided to look at it.
Yeah, that's a good, I think that's in the mode of goodness, uh, Jasper. But many times during the day we are in the mixed mode. Sometimes we are in the mode of goodness, we are wiser, we try to handle the situation intellectually. Like if somebody stole my caps, I would try to give the monkey banana so it can give me the caps back, being wiser in the mode of goodness. Or I can really get frustrated and angry at the same time, right? So it's kind of not a clear boundary. We are in the mixed mode. Sometimes we are in goodness, sometimes in passion, sometimes in ignorance. And also in this world, everything is like dragging us, just like gravity, everything is going down. You have a ball, it goes down, it degrades. So unless we put some effort, we have to put some effort to be in the higher modes, right? Like goodness. We have to like to have a good health. We need to exercise, or in order to become wiser, we need to study and spend time. So I believe it, requires some kind of effort to be in the higher modes, which is goodness.
Gratitude.
Gratitude, yes.
But it's really hard sometimes.
Because you have a lot to complain, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Gratitude and mindfulness to have knowledge of other people's perspectives.
yes. So how do you guys put the effort to be grateful or be compassionate? What do you do for that?
Morning meditation. You start your day with gratitude.
Okay, amazing. So you have a fixed time. You put effort to make sure you dedicate that time. Yeah, that's wonderful. And
Acts of service also, as like just I live in a house with many roommates, 8 roommates. So I sometimes when I feel that hey, I should just wash the dishes because there's a bunch lying. So I feel like that's sort of me being like, hey, they're good roommates. They also do their part, so I should also do my part.
Showing initiative, that I admire that.
yeah,
Showing initiative. Yeah, thanks for
yeah.
putting it that way.
I just like for compassion, when I experience friction with somebody, I just try to put myself in their situation and try to understand why they're behaving the way they're behaving. And why they are the way they are. Like me and my dad are having some problems right now, and I'm like, it's not acceptable for what he's doing, but I know that he just grew up with a very emotionally unavailable father. So that's why he is the way he is, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's how I that's how I take a compassionate approach to life and dealing with people.
Yeah, definitely. Compassion and love, is something which can melt people's heart. And when you give love, you will also receive love. Yeah, that's a nice approach, Jerry. And see, at every step, we have been given a choice, right? To um, whether we want to be in the mode of goodness or passion, or being hateful to others, being compassionate to. So always we have a choice, and based on the choices we make, it determines our destiny, what is going to happen in the future. So all of us have choices.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that talks about karma with our choices. It talks about how before you even do it, it's the thoughts. And with your thoughts, that's when karma started. You don't have to actually do it, take into action yet. Yeah, it's like a quote that's somewhere I read, and it just kind of came to mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like somebody is smoking a cigarette, right? So he has a choice whether he or she they want to smoke the next cigarette. But if they continue to do that, they may get some disease later. They may get lung problem or whatever. So our choice at every moment is determining how our future would look like. So at every step, we have a choice whether to smoke a cigarette or not smoke a cigarette, for that example. So yeah, so our destiny is framed by our karma, right? Whatever choice we make to do good karma or bad karma. Okay, so let's go to the next question here, unless somebody has anything else. How can we become free from the influence of the three modes of nature, even in this present body?
Like the saying earlier in the video, um, be in this world, but not part of it. I think that's what it says.
Yeah, I think you were
Yeah, I
the
noted it down. That I really like the quote that be in it, not off it. Something
Yes.
like that.
I guess does it go back to mind control too?
Yeah, we can link it to meditation, mind control, chanting of the transcendental sound vibrations of the Maha Mantra. Yeah.
I think practicing some of the feelings and emotions that we discussed in the last question of gratitude and mindfulness and initiative would in tandem with connecting with the Supreme, and also like Zillian mentioned, was starting your day with gratitude would be a great entry to coming free of the influence.
and also like living an exemplary life, right? Performing activities, and in the association of those who are aspiring to become free from these modes, that may also help. Anyone else would like to share on this?
I, I have a question.
Yes.
Why be free from the modes and not just be in the mode of goodness?
Yeah, when we say become free from three modes, we are also talking about the pure goodness, which is above goodness, the transcendental platform.
I might have. So the way I understood it is karma, we understand in the sense of, what goes around comes around, right? So, let's say you do a bunch of good karma and, you donate a bunch of money, you donate your time, and then perhaps when you come back to this world or even in that same lifetime, then you may be given the life of somebody who is very rich or put in a scenario where you can be very happy. But as life oftentimes is, it's always a pendulum. So you may swing to the side that where all your good karma comes to fruition, but then again you'll swing back, and then you're stuck in this cycle of swinging back and forth. So essentially, the idea of transcending is the idea that we actually stop collecting the good karma and the bad karma, which again they're spread out across the three modes, such that we can empty out our bank balance, whether it's in the negative or the positive, and be freed.
That's deep.
Yeah, Gaurav, feel free to correct, but that's my
No,
understanding.
that's I think you went deep into it. I was just giving a very high level answer. So thank you, Ayan, for that.
That explains it. Like if I'm talking about just this life, and if I'm doing good karma, I become a rich person. I can totally see myself not be rich after a few years, go back to where I was, or just not be happy. So I suppose that's the bondage of the current life. So that explains why I should be looking at transcending this bondage. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, I think getting at that, uh, leaving the material things behind, that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Um, because if you see in this world, there are so many people who are very rich, very famous, uh, but who are the people who you actually remember or you respect? Uh, those are not the ones who have big name or fame or money. People may respect them because they have all these things or they may get something out of them. But you only remember those people who actually give you that selfless love, right? And because when you get that love, that is something which stays with you and you always remember. So, and when we basically connect to ourselves to that love, that is something which can never be taken away from us. So, and that is something which is above the modes of nature, because yeah, in passion you can acquire skills, and in goodness you can acquire some kind of knowledge to impress others. But there is something beyond it which actually touches the heart. That is what we are all looking for.
I have a question about I don't know. This ties in with the lecture that or the wisdom that we got in Kirtan last Saturday about love and how true unadulterated love can only be achieved through certain conditions, with another person and within yourself. How does that tie in with the pure goodness of if you find true love with someone else?
Yeah. So when you find that true love of pure goodness with someone else, it's basically a relationship where there is no selfish egos, and when those two persons are basically focusing on transcending and uh, and connecting to themselves and to the relationship with the supreme, spiritual relationship. So that is how that relationship looks like. So it's not for, oh, I scratch your back and you scratch my back. It's not about that selfish egoism or give and take thing. A small example I would give of a mother and a child. A child is small and the child is crying the whole night, but mother is not getting anything out of it, but she's still awake the whole night and caring for the baby, right? It's kind of a very close to a selfless love.
Awesome. Thanks for the wisdom. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we harmonize and unite on higher principles, so that is actually true love. And that is the community that we want in the whole world to, like the United Nations, right, where everybody agrees on a higher principle and kind of serve each other in a way to uplift each other spiritually, as well as obviously while we are living in this body, uh, help with the mind, the body, emotions, and spiritually also. It's a combined thing, right? So
With today's society, it's really hard to be selfless. You probably need constant reminder. And especially like if you live in the city, there's advertisement bulletins everywhere. It's like stressful.
Right.
So I don't know, to be selfless and have a lot of compassion, I think we have to be like the Brightons, in the first video, move to the countryside, have like a simple living.
yeah, I mean, slowly people are taking that direction, right? Like if you see um, people who are getting frustrated with the city life, 9 to 5 jobs, once they make money, they want to just retire in the countryside and live happily, right? Because you don't really need a lot of things. I mean, the more you uh, create your desires or hankerings for bigger cars, bigger homes, it never stops, right? It's like putting butter in the fire. When you put butter in a fire, what happens? For some time it may seem okay that the fire has subsided, but actually the fire grows bigger and bigger. So the
Yeah.
analogy is like once you do these things, you may seem, oh, I'm satisfied. I got this thing. I'm a little bit satisfied. But what happens next? I want next thing, next thing. The
Mhm.
fire grows bigger and bigger. So this analogy is actually very, I like this. So it
Right.
never ends.
Yes, like let's just say you make 1,000. Your next goal will be 10,000, and then
Exactly. And then
it's
100,000, and then
mhm.
you know, where is the limit? Somewhere you have to, make a balance, you know. So
I think living in like city areas versus the country does make you consume more too. That's what I noticed about myself personally, because then twice in my life I've lived one time in a mountain town and then another time out on the coast. and I barely consumed stuff because I wasn't being exposed to advertisements and like driving by stores and all this stuff. Like I had a simpler life. And I remember when I lived in the mountain town, it was actually a town where there were no billboards or anything. It was a very clean and simple place. And then I came out to the Olympic Peninsula and we had to make a pit stop in Seattle on our way out there. And we were so angry. Like we all of a sudden were just angry. And we just couldn't wait to get out of Seattle because, and it wasn't the traffic. It was like, we were staying with a friend. It was totally cool and laid back, but we were just angry being exposed to all the advertisements and lights and all this stuff. So yeah, I do think living in the country versus the city does have a huge effect on your mind.
Yeah, it does. But sometimes because of job situation, you can't do that, right? So
Yeah.
we are not saying you move to the countryside. What we are saying is whether you live in the countryside or you live in the city, it's about your consciousness. You can live in a 100-story building in Manhattan or downtown Seattle, but what is your consciousness, right? Do you have that consciousness to uplift yourself, where you can connect to yourself, you can help others with compassion and love for others? You may be living in a countryside, but you may be the most, uh, I would say, upset or angry person on the earth, right? So it doesn't really matter where you live or whether it's a big house or a small car or a big car. What really matters is your consciousness. That is what we need to work on. You can be a CEO of a company, you know, you may be, flying helicopters 4 times a day. Doesn't really matter. So,
And I think the people that you surround yourself with also matters as well. Like if
yes,
you surround yourself with people who likes to party, drinks,
yes,
then you will most likely, be one of them. But if you surround with like-minded, kind people, then yeah, like there's this saying, you never mind, I forgot.
Well,
Tell me your friends and I can
walk.
tell you who you are.
what is that, I am? You said
Ryan?
Oh, yeah. I was saying, is it the saying, tell me your friends and I can tell you who you are?
yeah.
Or maybe a different one. I don't think that's the one Zian was thinking about.
What
It's
about if you walk like a duck, you're going to be a duck or whatever that one is?
or no, it's like if you're in the light or in the darkness. Oh gosh, there's this quote and I just space out, blanked out. But it says, if you're in the dark, then you're most likely become the darkness. But
Hmm.
if you're in the light, then you will shine bright.
Yeah. You rub against the people that you associate with. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. No, we got your feelings, Zuyan. We got what you want to say, the essence. Don't worry about it.
It's too early on a Saturday morning.
I know. We'll take it easy. Yes.
I noticed that people the energies are contagious, and if you spend your time and energy with those who with different energies, it will affect you.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I think we are on time. So to just sum it up, we discussed about different modes and how in this world we are being dragged, by these different modes, and we need to work on these modes by spending time with like-minded people or reading or hearing those things. And we have been given a choice, like in the example of the cap seller, how we want to respond. Instead of reacting, we respond with a thoughtful mind, what we can learn from it, how we can be wiser, or intellectually how to deal with that situation in a practical way. So So we have that choice that determines our destiny, and then we discussed about how we can become free from the influence of the three modes of nature by meditation, by association of those who are aspiring to transcend these modes and performing activities that are centered around that. So that was today's discussion. And I think all of you, put on a lot of nice thoughts. So thank you for that. Any other last thoughts you want to share?
On the topic of moving from country to city to country, I was just looking up, or I've seen this picture of a person who worked for 22 years in Microsoft, but now is a goose farmer. So I think he's a much happier, or yeah, you know, maybe
Yeah.
whatever. But this went viral, and I've seen this picture
Nice.
many times.
Maybe,
Our discussion reminded me of him.
yeah. Probably he worked for 22 years, saved some money, and then, moved there. So.
He wanted some geese, he got some geese.
Yeah.
Jerry, I just wanted to make sure you said, were you going to be able to make the kirtan if you were to carpool, or is that after you get back from Thailand?
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of sheltering in place right now because there's so much sickness going on that I don't want to get sick before my trip. So, yeah, I do really want to go tonight, but it's just kind of like I'm just finalizing some things. But yeah, when I get back, I would love to start carpooling, and that'll make it just that much more fun to drive up there and come home and stuff, if we're all together. So
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Me and Zillion would be more than happy to help out.
yeah, yeah, I don't know how to get in touch with you. Zan's in the
Women's group.
women's group, so I'm able to connect with her, but I don't know your.
Everybody
Hi.
should be in the DYS WhatsApp.
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah, so when I get back, I'll connect with you guys, and then yeah, I'll miss you guys. Sorry I can't make it through the